Hello, and welcome to the Thriving at NYU webinar. My name is Isabella Villacampa. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an associate director in the NYU Center for Student Life. I've been an administrator here in the Division of Student Affairs for about 7.5 years, and I am passionate about this work because NYU students, your students are incredible. This really is an amazing campus community, and I'm so happy that you have joined us today. This is actually the first time we are hosting this type of webinar series for parents and families. We've been listening to you, seeing all the questions come through to the parent family hotline and the emails. And so this Thriving at NYU series was intentionally designed to address the topics that you've shown are most important to you right now. And we are here to support you as your student navigates NYU. So the focus of this webinar is on campus life. We'll share information with you from both Campus Safety and the Center for Student Life. This program is being recorded and will be available and shared in a follow-up newsletter. If you aren't already receiving our parent and family newsletter, my colleague Nancy will share the sign-up link in the chat right now. Just one moment. So now we'll be transitioning to our content for the presentation. We'll be starting with our colleagues in Campus Safety. I am so happy to have my wonderful colleague here, Juan Tai, who is the first deputy in the first deputy director in the Department of Campus Safety. Welcome, Juan.
Yeah, thank you, Isabella. So before I get started, I just want to say thank you, Isabella, the Center for Student Life and Student Affairs in general, for inviting me to be able to be here and present on behalf of the Department of Campus Safety. Looking forward to providing some resources and answering questions that parents and families may have. Before I get started, I also want to just take the time to introduce myself. My name is Juan Tai. I'm the first deputy director for Campus Safety. I've been at the university for 18 years now in campus safety. And before that, I was actually an NYU student myself. I did my undergraduate studies at NYU and my graduate studies. And like many people on this call, I am also an NYU parent. I'm the proud father of a sophomore. Her name is Sarah. She's in the Tisch School of Performing Arts. She's a drama major. She actually lived at Lipton Hall last semester, and this last academic year. In this academic year, she is commuting from Queens. So been at the university a long time, been with the department a long time, and I am looking forward to being able to share some resources with you all and answer some questions. I also have with me Matt Shalosky, which is our communications manager. And Matt will be sharing links to some of the resources I speak to in the chat, so be on the lookout for that. At the end, we will share a page with all of the links we've shared in case people want to keep all of these links in one place. With that, we'll get the presentation started. So I wanted to start off with the mission, the values, the core values, and the vision of the department. Like I said, I've been here 18 years. The university has changed. New York City has changed. I myself am a native New Yorker. I've been here most of my life since I was 2. So I consider myself a native New Yorker. But one of the things that hasn't changed, our department has changed, but the mission of our department hasn't changed. And I'm not going to read it. You could look at the mission, our core values of professionalism, excellence in the community, and also our vision there. But just to put it in simple terms, we're here to help the academic mission. How do we do that? We create a safe environment for faculty to be able to teach, your students to be able to learn, and administrators and staff to be able to do their jobs and support the academic mission. So that's something that's been constant. It's our North Star, it's our guiding principle, and that's what we strive for day in and day out. Next slide, please. As I stated, part of this webinar, we hope to share some of the resources that you may or may not know about. As you can see on the screen, all those bullets are different resources that we provide. And I know when you think of campus safety, everyone thinks of the security officers, the men and women on the front lines that wear the uniform. They're one of the most visible people on campus. That is definitely part of our mission, and at the forefront is providing that security services. But we do a whole bunch of other things, from ID cards to transportation to emergency management, cameras, security technology, global footprint. We support all of the global academic centers. So there's a lot going on, and I'm going to take the time to go through some of the ones listed here. I'll start with our Safe NYU app. So if you haven't heard about this app, please, if it's one thing you can note down and share with your students, is the Safe NYU app. This app has a number of useful features. The link is right there in the chat. Some of the more useful features are the friend walk. This is a feature where your student can, when they're traveling late at night and they're leaving the library and let's say going back to their residence hall, they can share it with yourselves, a friend, saying, hey, I'm going to walk. And it could be a short walk. It could be something from, Bopes Library to Lipton Hall, which isn't that far, or Goddard Hall, Weinstein, any of those type of residents, and say, hey, I'm going to start my walk here. And you can actually track the student as they're walking from point A to point B and ensuring that they get there safely. One of the other features is the mobile blue light. I'm sure most parents are familiar with blue lights. We have a bunch of blue lights around the campus and the footprint. These are physical lights, emergency call boxes where someone can hit it. It communicates to our 24-hour, 7 days a week communication center, and people can ask for help. But on the app, there's actually a feature where if you open up the app, you hit the blue light, it pings our communication center, it pings your location, and somebody will follow up with you. We'll also dispatch someone, whether somebody responds or not. So it's literally a blue light walking in your hand. The other feature with Safe NYU that I'd like to mention is it can connect to our 24 hours, 7 days a week communication center with one touch of a button. It also has a chat feature. Some students, are more chat friendly and maybe they don't want to call and give a long spiel, but we've actually gotten some chats like, hey, this is going on, there's this unsafe condition, and they could just chat us. It's monitored, like I said, 24/7, 365, and they can communicate with us. Again, the 24 hours communication center, that number, every student should know or have programmed in their phone. It's a good number for parents as well, right? 212-998-2222. It's made simple for a reason. So it's easy to remember. And that's a resource that folks can use any time of day, in and out of the country. The other thing with the Safe NYU app is actually you can use it outside of the country at the other locations, at the other global sites, and it'll automatically update with like nearest precinct information, kind of resources for the area. So again, something very useful. Campus shuttles, we have campus shuttles going throughout the university. More importantly, Safe Ride. So for those who don't know, Safe Ride operates from 12 midnight to 7 a.m. And it's actually in Manhattan, an on-demand service. We've partnered with VIA. Your student can download the app and it will take your students, or anyone in the community for that matter, in the NYU community, from any NYU building to another in Manhattan. So let's say I am finishing up in Bopes, but I live all the way by Carlisle Court in Union Square. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't feel safe walking or taking the train. They can download the application and they can request a ride. Or I'm visiting someone in Union Square and I live all the way down in Lafayette in that residence hall. Same thing. They can wait in one NYU building, be picked up, taken door to door. For Brooklyn, we actually have a shuttle service that also operates from midnight to 7 a.m. And that is a door-to-door service from Phobes Library out to Brooklyn to Rogers Hall, door to door, every half an hour, the shuttle runs. So for those who live in Brooklyn or commute back and forth from the square to Brooklyn, we have that available as well. Green light buildings, what green light buildings are is basically all of our residence halls are green light buildings, or any building, NYU building that is open 24/7, 365 and has an officer 24/7, 365 will have a green light out in front of it. It's good to know because in the evening, if a student is navigating through campus and there's an issue or something, and it's good to know, hey, I see the green light. I know I can walk into that building and there will be a campus safety officer there that they can help me or assist me should that need be. One of the other big things that not all parents are aware of, but I want to make sure everyone on this webinar knows, is we have a victim services department. So these are dedicated people that help out victims of any kind of crime. Specifically, we work with a lot of students, and they'll do anything from filing a police report, right? Some people don't know how to file a police report, or following up with a police report. We'll actually accompany students down to the precincts to file a police report, to connecting you with local agencies that you may need throughout the city, to helping with an order of protection. You know, something's going on, somebody's been stalking me, bothering me, whatever. How do I navigate this order of protection? Someone from that unit will come out and walk you through it, and even walk you to court and accompany you to court to kind of help you navigate the complex system that is New York City. So definitely something to keep in mind. There's a lot of services there that can be provided. Emergency preparedness. So these are the folks behind the scene. A lot of people don't know we actually have a global security operations center. So these are folks behind the scenes monitoring social media, monitoring geopolitical websites for instability. And they are kind of looking at the entire NYU footprint, including the Abu Dhabi, Shanghai, and other global academic centers. These are the folks that also kind of help you prepare for emergencies, right? Anything from a hurricane to severe weather, kind of help us navigate and prepare for those things. Another resource I want to share with everyone, unfortunately, you know, in the days and times that we're living today, you never know where there's going to be an active threat. So Campus Safety has actually partnered with the Tisch School of the Arts, and we have made a campus a threat video, an active threat video. So I believe Matt's going to drop that in the chat. And basically it is, for those of you who are familiar with the run, hide, fight, right? Knock on wood, we've never had to encounter that at NYU. We've never had an active shooter event, but it is never a bad thing to know the basics, run, hide, fight. And me as a parent or me as an employee, either way, I'm going to be doing the same thing. Run, if there's a active shooter or anything like that, that's what you want to do. You want to run, hide, fight. The video is not that long. I would recommend every student to take a look, or every community member to take a look at it at some point and be prepared. With that said, the last thing I want to talk about is safety presentations. So we have something called Safety in the City. Our members of the department deliver that training to incoming freshmen. We partner with deans and schools to get freshmen during orientation. And we also offer the service during Welcome Week. Not every student goes through it because, again, we're partnering with schools that want to put it in their orientation. And obviously, sometimes it's optional. And during Welcome Week, it's optional. But giving the feedback that we've been receiving lately, we're definitely looking at ways to make the service more accessible and kind of on demand. So if a school or a department or someone says, hey, our students are bringing up this concern, you know, we'd really like them to go through this Safety in the City, you know, training. We are looking at ways of expanding that program. And that's a perfect segue into the next slide. So what I've done at this next slide is I'm gonna give you all a snippet of what is in the Safety in the City. This is not the whole thing, But again, I thought it would be useful for parents and family members to kind of know what we're teaching your students as far as being safe in the city. And then that way, perhaps you can kind of reinforce some of these things. So first of all, I said, Safe NYU. If they don't have Safe NYU, you could help us out by reinforcing download Safe NYU. You should have Safe NYU. Some of the things here, being aware of your surrounding and walking with purpose. Again, New York City is a big city, and just like any big city, it is not good to walk around with your headphones on full blast, daydreaming, not being aware of where you're walking, or just not paying attention to your surroundings. So we try to teach students, be aware of your surroundings, especially in busy places, right? Washington Square Park, Union Square, big avenues, things like that. You want to be, paying attention and walking with purpose, because I'll tell you, we have a lot of crimes of opportunities in the city, unfortunately, in the streets. And those criminals that are looking to do these crimes of opportunities, they're looking for easy targets. They're looking for people who aren't paying attention, who look lost, who look like a tourist, who look like they don't belong. And, if you walk with purpose and you're paying attention and people notice that you're noticing them, that helps a good amount. We talk about trusting your instincts, or like I say, trust your guts. If a situation looks bad, smells bad, feels bad, it probably is bad. So trust your instincts, right? If I'm walking down the street and I see a group of people that look shady and are looking a certain way, nothing wrong with crossing the street. Nothing wrong with turning around and going the other way. Nothing wrong with going inside a store or a building and say, hey, I want to take a break. I don't like what's going on. Or if I'm in the subway and there's a situation in the subway and someone is screaming, acting up, nothing wrong with saying, hey, you know what? I don't like this situation. I'm going to walk away. It feels bad. And I'm going to walk to the other end of the platform. I'm going to walk away from danger. So again, a lot of times I can't tell you, and I've had my own experience with this. The one time I didn't trust my instincts in New York was the one time I had a bad experience. I'll leave it like that. But since that day when I was younger, from that day forward, I've learned to trust my instincts and not second guess myself when I feel bad about a situation. Lastly, do not leave items unattended. Believe it or not, inside of our buildings, we have a very low percentage of violent crime or major crimes. If I'm sure some of you can guess, the number one crime we have within our buildings, inside of our buildings, is theft. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, that theft begins with, I left my iPad, I left my laptop I left my phone laying down here and went to the restroom, or something to that extent. Even I left my laptop in the library, walked away for 2 hours, went to get lunch. And when I came back, my laptop was not there any longer. So that's something, I think those are the 3 major ones. And again, I'm trying to give you a sense of some of the things that we try to help students provide personal safety, right? Because we are in charge of the safety inside our buildings, inside our areas. We can only do so much when students are out and about within the city. But these are kind of tools to help empower them. Some of the other ones you could just read to yourselves there. Obviously, ATMs indoors are better. Charge your phone before you go out. Scams. I tell students all the time, there's nothing wrong with saying no, and just a hard no. Somebody comes up to you and starts asking you, hey, can I? No. I can't tell you how many times I get approached by people on the street, starting with a story, or if you cut them off really quickly with a decisive no, thank you, I'm busy, I'm late for class, I gotta go, sorry, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel like you've got to sit there and entertain folks and their stories. I think it's something that goes a long way, and for me, 9 times out of 10 or even more, when I say no, I'm sorry, gotta go, again, they're looking for easy targets. They're looking for somebody to sit there and entertain them. So if you give them that kind of response, they'll be able to they'll move on to the next target, somebody easier. And then look out for people in close proximity. That's something there. Again, these are just some of the things we go through. subway safety. We go through going out at night. You know, what are the do's and don'ts? And I see the Q&A building up, and believe me, we're going to get to Q&A, and I definitely will answer as many questions as I can. But again, if they haven't done safety in the city, I would recommend that they do that. At the end, I'll be sharing contact information. All of the links are in the chat, and feel free to share these resources with your students. We can move on to the next one. All right, Washington Square Park, big one, right? So I just want to start off by saying that Washington Square Park is a public entity, even though it's inside the footprint in and around the campus of New York University. It is a public space. It's actually managed by the New York City's Parks Department, and we have no authority in the park as far as we as campus safety. Campus safety officers are given their authority by the university, and we are not sworn officers. We do not carry weapons. And again, we enforce our policies, regulations within the purview of our buildings and inside our buildings. We are a unique university that's in and around the city. But as far as the city itself, really NYPD is the primary agency responsible for safety around the city. And in the park in particular, it's the New York City Parks Department in conjunction with the NYPD. Again, I'm going to share some things to keep note. Like I shared before, I actually had a daughter who lived all of last year at Lipton Hall. And those of you who are familiar with Lipton Hall or may not be familiar with Lipton Hall, it's actually on Washington Square West. So it's right across the street from the park. And she had to travel through the park to go to many of her classes, as I'm sure plenty of parents here have students. And again, it's a great park. It's a great resource. It's kind of fun. It's what NYU is known for, right? It's one of the big things that NYU is known for and New York City is known for. And it can be enjoyable. But again, I think that there's some precautions that need to be taken. And I want to talk to you like some of the things that I would tell my daughter, right? So operating hours, the park is open from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. I used to tell my daughter, you have no business in the park after 12 a.m. Right? There's no classes going on. There's no programming that I know of in NYU that is going on. So really, that's first and foremost. After 12 a.m., you know, the resources as far as cities, it's officially closed. We all know that folks tend to hang out in there. To me, I would tell her she has no business there. Again, being mindful of your surroundings and remaining attentive. There's a lot of things going on in the park. So again, it's not a place to daydream or tune out or, not pay attention to what's going on in and around you. Safety in numbers, that's always an easy one for me. It's always safer to travel with numbers. If you're going to be hanging out in the park, then, it's better to hang out with 3 or 4 people because again, crimes of opportunity and different things. It's a lot easier if there's 4 or 5 of my friends and we're all hanging out in the park and we need to confront a situation as opposed to if I'm there by myself. Property, that goes without saying. You shouldn't leave stuff laying around in the park. And there are a lot of solicitation in the park. So there are a lot of people soliciting, trying to sell you things, trying to tell you a story or coming up to you. And again, just persistent. No, walk away. There's nothing wrong with that. Trusting your instincts. And then really, if you have an emergency, like a life-threatening emergency or you feel in danger, I think it's very important for folks to know you call 911 first. 911 is the first call. There's nothing wrong with calling 911. I've actually spoken to some students that felt like, I wouldn't say ashamed to call 911, but just hesitant to call 911. I like to tell students to err on the side of caution, right? 2 guys are screaming at me, whatever. I feel unsafe. Hey, I call 911, no problem. That's harassment or whatever. And if it's not a crime, then let them come and figure it out. There's nothing wrong. It's always good to err on the side of caution, but you call 911 first if it's life-threatening or if somebody stole something from you or touched you inappropriately or anything like that. It's 911 first, then you follow up with us. You call us and let us know, hey, this happened to me. I've called 911. I want to make you aware of it as well. This is where I am. And, we would dispatch and provide whatever resources we can. So those are some of the things as far as the park and keeping safe in the park. Again, I've I've seen the changing situations in the park. What I want to say too is around the park, we do have a lot of the emergency call boxes. So on the north side of the park, there are some emergency call boxes. We have some also on the west side of the park. And on the south side, you have Bope's Library and the Kimmel Center and the King Juan Carlos Center and the law school, all buildings where we have campus safety presence. The south side, I like preferably because it's better lit. It's better lit at night. And that's another thing I would tell my, if you do have to walk around there after midnight or late at night, don't go through the park. Cut through the south side. Cut through the south side on the south end of the sidewalk away from the park, because again, it's better lit. You actually have campus safety officers in the lobby of Pope's. You have one in the lobby of Kimmel, which is all a glass front. So God forbid if something happens in front of that area, it would be visible to that officer. Yeah, that's where we're at with the park. You can go to the next slide, Isabella. And yeah, now I'm going to turn it over to questions. I will answer questions. I'm going to look in the Q&A now. I think our communication manager is putting some questions for me in the chat. And I will say that contact campus.safety@nyu.edu. Please make sure you take that down for any follow-up questions that I don't get to tonight, or if you have a question that didn't come to mind, but you have a question later, you can reach out there. We have a team of folks who monitor that, including myself, and we're always happy to answer questions. So I'll start with the first one. Is NYU safety also responsible for medical emergencies? Can students who is not feeling well approach campus safety desk for help? Yes. So the answer is, I'll focus on the second part. Can a student who is not feeling well approach the campus safety desk for help? Yes. We do not have an EMT or EMS unit. We don't actually do anything other than AEDs. All of our safety officers are AED and CPR certified. So if it's a CPR situation, our officers do know how to do that. Our officers also know how to use a tourniquet in case someone's bleeding out. But we rely on EMS. But on the latter half, can they approach the desk? Absolutely. I'm not feeling well. This is the situation. We call if it's within residential life, we'll actually call the residence hall the RA, resident assistant, and they will go up their chain of command in student affairs, and we'll actually help get them the medical assistance they need. So they can always come to us. Again, err on the side of caution. If it's an emergency, like I'm bleeding or it's something big, then again, 911 first, right? Or if they saw someone pass out, then call 911 first, because what's going to happen is they're going to come to us, and then we're going to call 911. So if you call 911 first, that minute and change that you're spending calling us, and for us to call 911, 911's already on the way. Another question: how do parents log in the Safe NYU app? It appears required net ID. So yes, so the Safe NYU app is actually for the students. It's not for parents. We don't have a parent feature. I could take it back to our team to look into that, but it's more for the students. And that's why you need a net ID and a university ID to log in. Can you share anything more about what you are doing after the unfortunate shooting near engineering facility in Brooklyn? Sure, absolutely. So a couple of things. We've actually done a hot wash, what we call a hot wash, which is an after action report reviewing all the different steps. One thing that we feel we could do a little better is communicate more. So we're looking at ways to communicate more. The other thing actually is we're partnering with local agencies around the area. So school safety in particular, we actually have asked school safety to step up their presence outside of high schools as high schools let out. The Metro Tech Business Improvement Center has a private security that's in charge of the Metro Tech area. We've actually partnered with them as well. And we've also reached out to NYPD about improving their presence or upping their presence in that area. All right, next one. As parents, can we call the communication center to find out about our child for an emergency? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. We get phone calls from parents. What I will say is there are FERPA laws. So if those of you who are not familiar with FERPA, it's a privacy law around higher education and education in general. So there's only certain information we can do. We do have something called sometimes a welfare check. We'll do a welfare check. I haven't heard from so-and-so in so long, or I'm concerned. And we will, again, partner with Student Affairs and Res Life, and in conjunction with the resident assistants, check up on the student. Again, we're here 24/7. That's what we're here for. We err on the side of caution. We welcome any parent or family member to communicate with us. If we can't do it, we could certainly point you in the right direction. So I'll say that, we're all about providing the ability to improve your safety and keeping you informed of what's going on. So, no question, is out of line. You could feel free to contact us or call us whenever you like. Why does NYU allow homeless people to stay around NYU properties, such as in benches in front of Stern and School of Business? Okay, and a second one. Hi there, my daughter's living at U-Haul. She mentioned there's a group of homeless people who hang around Walgreens at the corner of 14th Street and Union Square. These people have already harassed a couple of students, and there is a feeling of fear in the area. What can NYU safety do about it, considering something is happening in the public space? All right, great questions. So we actually do partner with homeless services. We do partner. So normally as a civilian, what we would do, we call 311 and we'd ask the unit to come out. The issue with that is what they do is they offer housing and they offer services. Unfortunately, these services are voluntary and the housing is voluntary. So at the end of the day, if someone who's homeless doesn't want the services, we cannot force them upon them. Now, the second one mentioned hanging around Walgreens and harassing. So harassment is a crime, right? So if somebody's making you feel unsafe, it is an issue. With something like that, we call 911 if it's a valid concern and there's an actual crime being committed. We call 911 to respond. And we have before in the past when we've had people aggressively panhandling or, taking it a bit too far. So there's a difference between homeless in our spaces. We can ask, if it's private spaces, we can ask them to leave. Some of the spaces are public/quasi when we have to work with homeless services, and we do reach out. But again, if a student is in fear of their safety or not feeling safe, they can reach out to us and we can be that one to navigate the police process for them. Because maybe to them, it's just like, well, I don't want to call the police. I'm not sure. They can call that 8222 number anytime and say, hey, this is a situation. I'm in front of Walgreens. They threw a piece of rubbish at me and my friends, anything. Give us the situation. We're the experts. We know the criminal New York State penal law. And if it goes past the threshold, we definitely would loop NYPD. Similar, daughter and her friends were followed last week at 3 p.m. on the way to U-Haul. They ducked into Walgreens, smart move, ducked into Walgreens, and followed them into the store. They called campus security and they came right away. Do you have to report to NYPD or she should call NYPD? NYPD first. It depends though. It depends. If they didn't do anything, they haven't committed a crime. But again, I err on the side of caution. There's nothing wrong with calling NYPD because they'll get there. You tell them the situation and they'll tell you it's a crime or it's not a crime, or hey, we can do this. But I love the fact that they ducked in the Walgreens, right? When I said trust your gut, trust your instincts, it doesn't even have to be one of our buildings. There's plenty of bodegas and different things, 24/7 buildings and different things. So definitely implore your student, hey, you're not feeling safe, go in there and make the call. And I'm glad they called us, and I'm glad we were able to respond. So we do have a footprint around there. That's the good part. So we do tend to have good responses there. Can you do welfare checks on students not staying in campus housing? We've done so only in extreme stuff. We may refer to NYPD. In extreme cases, we might. It's not really within our purview. But again, we are the ones who are always willing to help out navigate the system and, find the city resource that can help provide the service. Are you also working in case of critical natural disasters, such as hurricanes recently hit by NYU? Yes. And yes, I was actually here during Sandy. I actually lived in NYU for about, I think, 5 or 6 days. I don't remember. It's a blur. But we dealt with that. Like I said, we have an emergency preparedness team that kind of works with that, that helps guide university leadership on making big decisions such as closing the schools, sheltering in place, things of that nature. We help facilitate. At the end of the day, there is a structure in place where university leadership is making the decisions. Why there are no shuttles from the library before midnight? Can students ask for NYU campus safety officers to escort them back at the dorms if they do not feel safe? So before midnight, because the shuttle services runs until then, so they could do the shuttles before midnight. Midnight is kind of when the shuttles, and by the way, NYU shuttles are only for NYU community members. You need your ID to get in the shuttle. So it isn't like random people can come in to our buses. So it's very secure. I don't ever recall, I've been here 18 years, I don't ever recall any violence or any kind of thing going on within the shuttles. So that's why we started after 12. We do not have an escort service. Believe it or not, we have 300 or so security officers. But unlike many other universities where they don't have 24/7 coverage at residence halls and they don't have coverage in every academic building, we have a security officer 24/7, 365 in every residence hall. And we have them in most academic buildings, certainly all of the larger, more populated academic buildings, and we have them while they're open. Why can't NYU request more police presence around Washington Square Park for student safety, avoid criminal activities? So we have, again, we are a steward of, we are, I want to say, a client, just like anyone else, of the city and of the agency. So we've contacted local city agencies. We've actually hosted meetings with local city agencies on our campus, paid for by NYU, brought in the folks together, Parks Department, NYPD, local offices, local political offices, to talk about the issue, ask for the issue. All we can do is ask and reinforce. And from what I understand, that is definitely being looked into. Now, it is 8:10. I do see there's a couple of more questions, but I want to be mindful because there is another office presenting. Again, my name is Juan Tai. I'm the first deputy director. I monitor that campus.safety at nyu.edu. So all of those emails sent to there come to me and some folks on my team. We will be happy to answer any questions we did not get to. So please feel free to send your questions there. I guarantee that we will be following up. And again, we're here to provide a safe and secure environment for your students to learn, right? For them to go to class, go in their classrooms, and be able to do what they're here to do, right? Learn. Unfortunately, like I said, the city, it's a big city, and we do not have jurisdiction outside of our buildings. But we are working hard with city agencies, letting them know what our expectations are, letting them know what our preferences is, and really vying for all the assistance we can get from those city agencies to ensure that your students are safe. I will say again, I actually looked at our crime stats from the start of the semester till now, and inside of our buildings, a lot of thefts, like I talked about, a lot of unattended property theft. When I say a lot, maybe about 14 or 15, which is a good amount. Some other things, but again, nothing violent, nothing big inside the buildings. Outside the buildings, I know we've had some issues. We are working very diligently. We're actually, adding our own patrols. We don't go into the park. Again, it's not our jurisdiction. We try to have uniform presence in and around the park, which is the most we can do. We're also looking at patrols in Brooklyn and visibility there. But then again, the big part is partnering with the agencies that could really help resolve these issues. So we're going to be doing our best to do that. I hope that you found some of these resources useful. I hope that you share them with your students. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to continue the conversation. Please reach out to that email alias. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'm more than happy to do so.
Thank you to Juan and Campus Safety for sharing this important information. As we mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share the video link in a follow-up email to the parent and family newsletter. So you are welcome to share that link with your student for them to view as well. If you aren't already receiving that newsletter, my colleague Nancy will share the link in the chat now where you can sign up and make sure you receive the parent and family newsletter. And if you have any other questions regarding campus safety, please feel free to reach out to campus.safety@nyu.edu. As Juan has been so gracious about sharing, there are actual humans behind that email alias, and Juan is one of those people. So thank you, Juan and Campus Safety again. Really appreciate you sharing this information with us.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
So this webinar is focused on on-campus life. We've also been hearing from parents and families about wanting our students to feel connected to the campus community. So we'll just briefly share some ideas of what is going on with the NYU Center for Student Life. We are located on the Kimmel Center in the 7th floor. We are on the south side of Washington Square Park, and we are all about being a resource to have your student get connected to the NYU community. It's a great lounge space too. Students often hang out here on the 7th floor. This is a beautiful view. So definitely encourage your students to check out the Kimmel Center and check out the 7th floor. So we're just going to plant some seeds about the type of things that we offer here in the NYU Center for Student Life. And I will also share that this is not the limitations of all the opportunities for engagement and connection for your students. There's so many great people across the university working on how to get students feeling connected. But the general idea of the types of things we offer from the Center for Student Life is we have events and programs and also our communities. Our class activities board, clubs and organizations, leadership development, NYU service, program board, student media, student government assembly, NYU welcome, and then different communities are commuter and off-campus students, fraternity and sorority life, graduate students, international students, veteran and military connected students, transfer students, and of course, parent and families. So one thing is that we are the department that hosts NYU Welcome, variety of hundreds of events, initiatives, and programs that your student can go to support the transition at the very start of each semester. So yes, we just had NYU Welcome these past month or so. These are the type of events that we hosted. So something you can do is talk to your student and check in of like, hey, tell me a little bit more about the NYU Welcome events that you went to. And then we also offer very similar programming at the start of spring semester. And that's open to all students. So even if they're a returning student, we have sophomores go to these things. We have a bunch of spring admins where they can meet other new students. There's different things like marquee events, from a drag bingo show to a Bob Ross paint night is very popular these days. Workshops, we do offer the Safety in the City. So that workshop will be offered as part of Spring Welcome at the beginning of spring semester. Definitely can have them go to that. What to expect in the semester, Small Wallet, Big City, Real Talk NYU series, themed hangouts, affinity spaces, walking tours, excursions. So there's so many things that your student maybe has experienced in the beginning of this semester and can also tap into for the beginning of spring semester. And they can also get involved as an NYU Welcome Leader, which is something they can apply to if you have a new first year student. It's something they can apply to at the end of this year and be a great jump start to be in a leadership position for next year. And also, if you have students who are older than first years, they can apply as well. Clubs and organizations. So there are hundreds of different clubs and organizations that students can get involved in. The whole idea is that we hope that they discover their community. There's all these different themes that you can see here for types of groups that they can get involved in. And the campus is very alive right now. I am calling in from the office right now, and I just peeked out a couple of minutes ago and there's a club meeting in one room, there's another club meeting in another room. We're very actively seeing our students submitting events that they want to host, both on campus and virtually. So it's very active on campus, which is really exciting. And if you just direct your student to Engage, NYU Engage, they can go to engage.nyu.edu. That is the magical portal where they can search anything they're interested in and find a club. So this is an example that I did earlier. I went to NYU Engage, clicked investment, and you see some events that are hosted that have to deal with investment. And then there's also different clubs that you can get involved in that have investment in their description. And so, yes, wanted to confirm that there are in-person clubs and activities happening this semester. Just saw some outside right now. So it's a really exciting energy on campus. Student Government Assembly is the overarching student government at NYU. Another great way for students to get involved, especially if they're interested in advocacy. They can get elected in a specific role, or they can become part of a committee to tackle different agenda items that are important to the student voice right now. You can see example here on the right of different committees, anything from diversity to health and wellness to different student technology and sustainability. So if your student's interested in leadership and advocacy, or maybe even politics in the future, they can get involved with Student Government Assembly. And the next is fraternity and sorority life. We're actively going through recruitment for this. We have Panhellenic Council, Multicultural Greek Council, Interfraternity Council. Definitely important pillars are academics and service. One thing students are involved in is the New York Dance Marathon, also known as NYDM, where they do a lot of fundraising and awareness for pediatric cancer. And that's a really beautiful photo you can see there of a recent fundraising that they did for that. Class Activities Board. There's a CAB for every year. So first years, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, students can run for an executive board position or get involved in the General Assembly. I saw a meeting for this just a couple hours ago on our floor. It's a really nice way for students to get involved, maybe with a lighter touch. So if they have a lot going on this semester, but they still want to help plan programming and community building programs for their class, CAB, Class Activities Board, is a great way to do that. And they're already getting emails from their CAB about that. NYU service. So an important value for us is being very mindful of service learning and being a part of the New York City community and civic engagement. So we have an NYU Votes initiative. Tomorrow's actually National Voter Registration Day. So the team is going to be tabling at the bottom floor of Kimmel Center, kind of spreading awareness about voter registration. There's also a Give Where You Live initiative. We just had an orientation meeting today for our service ambassadors, which is something that your student, if they are really interested in service, can get involved in a leadership position to help plan different service programs. One thing with Give Where You Live is that the student leaders will take on a certain social justice issue, and maybe that's people experiencing homelessness or incarceration in the United States, create a dialogue amongst students and education around it, and then do a complementary service in the city around that topic. So it's a really beautiful program for service-minded students. Leadership development. These workshops are open to all students, undergraduate and graduate students. They're really to transform leadership potential, enhance skills, both practical and interpersonal. So these are the graphics for the programs we have going on this semester. We have a Leading for Change, a social identities workshop, ethical storytelling. Students can find out about the different Leadership Academy workshops on NYU Engage as well. Commuter students. So our students who are commuter students are those who do not live in an on-campus residence hall. Some important resources to know is that every undergraduate first-year commuter student who doesn't live in a residence hall has a commuter assistant, which is a peer leader to kind of help guide them navigate their first year here at NYU. If your student hasn't heard from their CA, that's another question you could ask. Like, oh, have you got in touch with your CA? Just email us and we can make sure they get connected. There's also spaces on campus. So say your student maybe has a 2-hour commute to campus and they have a 9 a.m. class and then they have a 5 p.m. club meeting. There's a space in both the Kimmel Center and also the Lipton Hall that are a commuter lounge and commuter den, where it's a great community of commuters hanging out there. Transfer students. So every incoming undergraduate transfer student also gets a transfer student ambassador, also known as a TSA, which is a fellow peer mentor transfer student, help them navigate NYU. If your student is a new transfer and did not receive an outreach from the TSA, they should have already gotten an email from their TSA. You can just have them email transfers@nyu.edu and we will be sure to get them connected. International students. So something we are very proud about for NYU is that we have the highest number of international students out of all colleges and universities in the country. It's a really incredible, diverse community. We have the International Student Center also here on our floor that have programs like cross-cultural dialogues, English conversation hours, and it's not limited to international students. It's a very globally minded campus. Sometimes we have third culture kids, a lot of different identities, and so that is an open space for community to come together on that. Veteran and military connected students. So we also have a space on our floor for students who may identify as veterans or maybe dependents and military connected. They can use that as a lounge and study space. And we also do programming to support, we have the Veterans Day Parade here in New York. There is a Student Veterans Association, which is one of our clubs. So if your family identifies as a veteran or military connected, there's definitely a community there as well. Graduate student life, we have 25,000 graduate and professional students. We also offer programming for graduate students. There's some interdisciplinary discussions and socials and networking and things like that. Student media. Our school newspaper is the Washington Square News. We have a WNYU radio. These are great ways to get a pulse for kind of the student voice. So you can definitely encourage your student to subscribe to the WSN. And as well, they can get involved in writing. It is an award-winning student newspaper. They're pretty great about kind of showing the voice of what's going on with the student pulse. And if your student's interested in being published, there's a number of student publications that have a lot of different themes and interests. We can also find that on NYU Engage. And parents and families. So we are again the department that hosts the workshops like the Thriving at NYU series and also the helpline and the email. So if you have a question, you can reach out to us. They are available business hours. If it's something, an emergency after hours, you can reach out to campus safety. And we have the monthly e-newsletter that we put in link in the chat to make sure you sign up for it. And again, many students share that getting involved is what helps them find a sense of community at NYU. And these are just a few ways to get connected with the community, and just wanted to plant some seeds of the types of things offered on campus, specifically through our department. But there are many, many ways for students to get involved within their individual schools or throughout student affairs. So our department hosts clubs that have members from all different types of schools across the university. Each individual academic school also has their clubs that they host and advise that might be complementary to some of the academic programs within that school. There's athletics, intramurals, recreation, global spiritual life. There's free yoga, meditation classes throughout the weeks, leadership initiative in your residential life, the Center for Multicultural Education Programs, the LGBTQ plus Center, and so much more. So we were only sharing what we offer here in the Center for Student Life, but there's a lot of opportunities to get connected across the university. Also wanted to share if there's questions about getting connected with career services or career counselors and that type of program. I'll give a teaser for later. We actually have our next Thriving at NYU series webinar will be next week with the NYU Wasserman Center for Career Development, and that can show some information about things like part-time jobs and things like that. And again, academics are absolutely important. And in addition, student life is really, we're trying to build leadership, feel a connection, and also it's an opportunity to build some professional skills. So start talking to your student, how they want to get involved or things, leadership positions they might want to do to help build the confidence in those skills as well. And then wanted to share, these are the types of messaging that we try to share with students, just tips for making the most out of your NYU experience. Or as you're checking in with the students, maybe we can align on type of the things that we're doing to check in with them. So just encouraging the idea of finding your community, getting involved, stepping outside your comfort zone. There's so many opportunities here. And so how can we challenge ourselves to push the limits of our comfort zone and try something new? Meet new people, say hi, especially in your classes. Turn to the person next to you before the professor starts speaking and just introduce yourself or comment something on, something you notice they're wearing or something like that. We never know who the next person you say hi to can maybe be your future best friend or your future co-CEO for an amazing company. And of course, investing in well-being. So completely understandable if students are at all feeling overwhelmed by anything. There is a lot going on. There's a lot to balance. And so making sure that we're sending the message of investing in well-being and to also check NYU emails. So everything we've shared today, we share this information through a weekly email about all these different opportunities, all the different interdepartments. So the International Student Center, NYU Service have their own email listservs. It is the main way we have to communicate these opportunities to students. So just always encouraging students to check their NYU emails and to also just sign up for stuff. And again, here's our contact information. Students can visit us on the 7th floor. They can contact us through emailing student-life@nyu.edu. If they check the back of their NYU ID card, our phone number is actually on the back of that NYU ID card. So this is a big tip, is if your student ever has any questions about anything, they can call that number on the back of their NYU ID card and we are here to help them navigate. So that is just very rapid fire, some things going on with the Center for Student Life. I'm hope that you're feeling, a little bit more familiar with the type of ways that we try to build connections for your student here to the campus community. Again, this is the first of a 3-part series for Thriving at NYU, specifically for parents and families of what's been on your mind. Our next session is Monday, October 4th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ensuring your students' career success, featuring the Wasserman Center for Career Development. We'll talk more about part-time jobs and working on campus and different things like a resume check tool, just all this awesome resources we have to support your students' career success. And then Nancy just put a link in the chat where you can register for that. Again, that will also be recorded and shared in the follow-up email through the parent and family newsletter. And then we also in mid-October, we'll share the date and time, have a session on mental and physical well-being featuring our leadership from Mindful NYU, the Student Health Center, and Counseling and Wellness Service. And speaking of wellness, the Wellness Exchange phone number, we are here for you too as parents, families, and supporters. And we absolutely need your partnership to make sure that our students are thriving here and flourishing on campus. So if at any point you're concerned about their mental health or notice a change in their behavior and want to talk to someone about it, you actually can call the Wellness Exchange hotline yourself. We very much promote this to students as a resource, but it's actually available to you as parents and families as well. So we wanted to make sure that we name that here. So you can call that number 212-443-9999 and say, I'm a parent or a family member feeling a little concerned about my student. This is, kind of what I'm experiencing, and they can help talk with you confidentially. And as we're wrapping up here, want to give another plug to the NYU Alumni and Parents Weekend, October 21st through 24th. Great opportunity to connect with our global NYU community. We'll put the link in the chat for you to be able to register. These are there's over 80 live webinar sessions going on that weekend. And these are some of the sessions specifically for parents and families members. You'll be able to talk to academic school sessions with the different deans. We'll have connection networking hours with other parents and families. We've also been hearing, interest in being able to connect to other parents and families. So we'll have some connection networking hours there. And then webinar workshops similar to this from a lot of different departments on campus with our dining, our study away, the International Student Center, understanding financial aid, billing, academic records, so many different opportunities to help feel more connected to the resources on campus. So again, we wanted to thank you so much for being a part of this webinar with here today. If you have questions, you can, if they're related to campus safety, reach out to campus safety. If you want to give us an email or a call, just in general questions, check those resources out. And then again, we are all about empowering our students. So encourage your student to contact us if they need help navigating NYU. Our phone number is on the back of their NYU ID card. So again, thank you so much for being here. This is recorded and we will share in a follow-up newsletter and hope to see you in the next Thriving at NYU webinar coming up. Have a good night.